What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in on a wonderful Wednesday evening here on the Film Guide Network. Never know when Mondays are off and we have a national, a college football playoff game going on and we don't have a regular schedule. Hey, welcome in. Beautiful Wednesday evening. We got a loaded show for you guys today. It's that time of the year where, no matter how long I spend, and I normally start around noon every day. It's normally when we get together, we start rattling off topics and start formulating the show notes, right? I can work however long I want this time of the year on an opening. 9 times out of 10, based off the news cycle as of late, particularly with the portal window, you're going to chunk that sucker halfway through the day. You're just going to toss it. So we had to kind of toss an opening today, but ironically enough, it kind of led into the Julian Humphrey news, right? We were going to talk about Ellis Robinson and how Ellis Robinson, since the day he has stepped on campus, listen to some of the names who have either entered the portal or flirted with the idea of the portal. A.J. Harris, Nyland Green, Julian Humphrey, Daniel Harris. And we'll talk about each of those players individually, but I want to talk about Julian Humphrey to start the show because this is the ultimate, definition, in my opinion, of your talent dictates your distraction. Okay, your talent level and how good you can ultimately be will basically depend and dictate how much people are willing to deal, right? How much people are willing to deal with you. I think what we watched over the last 24 hours was an active negotiation play out in front of our face. I think we saw an individual and a player in Julian Humphrey who will be in a battle for playing time this year. No matter what anybody wants to tell you, he will be in a battle for starting position at the University of Georgia. We saw that player actively receive negotiations, right? Actively receive offers, namely from Texas A&M was the school that this was originally linked to, right? Hey, that's the big threat. Watch out for them. Watch out for Texas. Watch out for yada, 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 right? But mainly Texas A&M. And then we found out today, hey, gonna pull my name back out of the portal. Less than 24 hours from, I think it was last night right before the show, he tweeted out a graphic that he was entering the portal. Okay, on top of you can do the TikTok stuff, you can do the social media stuff, you can do whatever. You can do this story. Hey, this guy's obviously flip-flopping. I know one thing about Georgia. Normally, they don't do distractions. They just don't. I texted a source today and it said Julian Humphrey must be one of the most talented individuals that has ever walked inside that building up at that university because they normally don't do the sideshows. They just don't. And I'll tell you right now, they also don't do hard bargain negotiations. If you're coming to them with some type of offer that you have received, good for you. Enjoy that offer. We're not going to be out here hardballed into raising your salary. All right, that's not what the University of Georgia does per all accounts, per all sources. But I will guarantee you what has happened. When this type of discussion comes to the foot of Kirby Smart, particularly at the cornerback room, which, by the way, this is the world that we live in now. When you have 7 really, really talented Power 5 caliber corners on your roster's going to be actively poached 365. So if you're not starting at Georgia, your phone is ringing. I'm promising you that right now. Julian Humphrey's phone is still actively ringing. Daniel Harris's phone is still actively ringing. Every single corner in that room that doesn't end up on that 1 deep, right? Because it ain't a 2 deep. It's a 1 deep at the cornerback position. Those 2 guys starting are those 2 guys, right? Every other player on that roster is getting actively called and actively poached, okay? So this is what you're going to have to deal with moving forward. But here would be my pitch, right? If I were Kirby Smart, if I were Will Muschamp, if I were Glenn Schumann, and whoever is the rotating revolving door at the quarterbacks coach, right? This happens to be Dante Williams. If I'm in that position, here would be my pitch, right? It would be nice and simple, okay? We will give you every opportunity and every honest opportunity to be one of those 2 guys. We will compete at this school and during practice at this place harder than anywhere else. So you will get a very, very true chance to find out whether or not you are the guy. Okay, I don't think if you hear any of the exit interviews from any of these guys who have left the program, none of them say that they got cheated. None of them say that they didn't get a good enough opportunity, that they just talk about how the opportunity didn't fit, how they just didn't crack the lineup, right? So stick around. We will give you a true opportunity to compete and win the job. And if you do, I promise you right now, you're going to play on Sundays. Everybody that plays at corner and everybody that plays at star and everybody that plays at safety for the last 5 years, outside of, I think, Richard LeCount, is still actively on an NFL roster. There it is right there. If you play here, you will play on Sundays. That would be my first pitch. And here would be my pitch to asking guys and telling guys, you probably should stick around because we don't have a large sample size of it, but it's pretty substantial at this point. Look at the list of names of guys that came in, waited 18 months, and said, man, shit, I'm never going to play here, and immediately hopped into the portal. Okay, look at the list of names. And then look at the list of names, and it's a very short list of guys like Amir Speed. Amir Speed spent 4 years trying to crack the lineup at Georgia, meanwhile getting better every single day, developing. And then he took the 1 year in a graduate transfer, went to Michigan State, balled out, and guess what? Now he's playing for the New England Patriots. And it looks to me like Amir Speed is going to hang on in the league for a while because he was developed at the University of Georgia behind closed doors where only NFL scouts got to observe him while he continued to get better, okay? Because playing time's great, but good playing time is the best, right? Putting good tape on display for NFL evaluators, that's what matters most. Amir Speed is going to make the league. Amir Speed has made the league. Amir Speed will hold on in the league. Jalen Kimber might not, right? I think that's the difference in my opinion. You stick around, and that would have been my selling point. Julian Humphrey, you stick around at the University of Georgia. I'm not promising you playing time. I'm not promising you that you're going to win the job. But I am promising you right now, if you hold out, if you just do what you're supposed to do, if you continue to be developed here, wherever and whenever you do at the right time crack a lineup, it's going to be at a Power 5 school, either here or somewhere else, and very shortly it'll be on a Sunday roster. That would be my pitch, boys. If I were Agent Brooks, I would sit these guys down and I would say, hey, give us an opportunity to stick around here for 3 years. Give me 3 years of development here, and if it doesn't work out for you, I will help you out. And here's how I know this. I have it on pretty good authority that Nyland Green, he would have been happy finishing his career at Georgia. All right, but there was a real conversation about, hey, son, playing time might not be available here for you, but I think you are an NFL football player. I just think you need playing time, and it's not going to happen here. So I want to facilitate. I want to help you. I want to help you go to your next spot, and you see him land at Purdue. And I'm here to tell you, I think Nyland Green's going to have a very successful career at Purdue based off the time that was spent at Georgia, the cultivating that was done there. And guess what? Now I don't think there's going to be this hippity hop in the portal like you see some of these guys that bail really, really, really early on this process.
Too, like the defensive back position is one of those spots where you don't necessarily need to have a long resume of games and have to ball out for like multiple seasons or anything like that. We've seen that happen with guys at the University of Georgia, like Darian Kendrick. I know he had tape at Clemson, but I mean he had one season and then went off to the NFL, still hanging around, playing meaningful snaps for the Rams. So you really just need one season. So if you can craft the lineup for one season, whether that be your third season, your first season, or whatever, if you can put on tape of one season, then you'll be golden for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, the defensive side of the ball, you don't need a huge sample size to prove that you're an NFL talent. I mean,
particularly at corners, highway speed measurement.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Stokes, I think, only started 1, maybe 2 seasons and first-round pick. So things like that where if you don't even if you don't start, get developed, like you said, get developed and then go to another school and then ball out there. So I think it is very smart to stay at Georgia just from a career standpoint.
I think from a decision standpoint, like A.J. Harris, for example, I understand it. If he doesn't stick at Georgia, they're actively still working on him to keep him out of the portal. But I understand if the phone calls are, hey, son, you're 5th on that depth chart. You can be number 1 on ours, and we'll give you a pay raise. Like, that kid thinks he's a 3-year starter anyways. Like, that kid thinks he's an NFL player in 2 years. So it's hard for me to tell a 19-year-old kid in those situations like that, ignore that. Stick around here and be developed. Like that's really, really hard to sell. And I'm sure they're selling it really, really hard right now. They're pushing that motive and that message to A.J. Harris, and maybe it works out. But I guarantee right now it's not going to work out for all 3 of them. It's not going to work. And the 3 of them being Julian Humphrey, Daniel Harris, and A.J. Harris. Like the odds that you keep all 3 of those with that message, very, very rare, right? Very slim, I should say, particularly with Ellis Robinson. I think we haven't seen the dude on action. We haven't seen the dude in action on a college football field. It's been behind closed doors. But I'm going to tell you right now, it probably don't take long. It does not take long for that kid to come into the room and everybody be like, oh, yeah, nah, he's one of us. Mm-hmm. Right? I talked to Caleb Downs' dad during this high school state championships here in Georgia. He said the feeling was very apparent very early that Caleb was not like other freshmen. I think Ellis is going to have the very same kind of acceptance from other guys, right? Very professional in his approach, obviously talented, physically prepared. He is not like the other ones. He is ready. We will accept him like he is ready because you have to accept these young freshmen. We saw the same thing with Malachi Starks the year before at Georgia. Like, you're not getting the freshman initiation, if you will.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's very easy to tell early on, like, okay, that guy is going to be special, and he's going to be special from now all the way up until the end of his career. You could see that with Brock Bowers early on in his career during that Clemson game. Like, it took one game to know, like, that dude is different than all the other tight ends that Georgia has had over the years. It's been a minute since we've seen one of those. And all signs point to Ellis Robinson being that. I mean, heck, the Twitter timeline was littered with his highlights at the All-American Bowl practice this week. He was named MVP as well, so everybody can see it right now.
What are the odds they let him get run at star? Or is it just he's going to be straight up corner?
Zero. I don't think – great, tremendous cover corner. All right, this is a 6'1", 190-pound kid that was a 10-3, 100-meter runner out of high school. And by the way, not stiff at all.
No.
This tremendous mover. This is a tremendous athlete, by the way. And that's what I'm saying. I think Julian has one of the higher ceilings that they've ever run across. Because even in high school, like how many guys they got on their roster got hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok doing dances? And it's a side thing, and people are going to say it's the modern world of college football, and that is true. It is true. But at Georgia, I mean, Nazir Stackhouse is the only one I know with a TikTok presence.
Yep.
And he's out here showing the food at Bones. You know what I mean? Out here doing the goofy memes. He's not. Woof, man, some of the clips coming from my man's TikTok is wild. And by the way, here's the good news. Everyone keeps him in check. Everybody keeps him in check. His teammates were absolutely cooking him today on Instagram, were they not? Pull some of these up. These were some of the funniest comments from his teammates on the post of him with Will Muschamp and a couple other coaches inside the house.
Yeah. So the top one is Javon Bullard with two of them. And it says, "Cuffing to piss me off. Man, is you leaving or not?" Dalen Everett just says, "Man," crying emoji. Tate Ratledge says, "Jit tripping."
Jit tripping. That's my
Kendall
favorite.
Milton said, "Bro, what?" And then my personal favorite, Ra Thomas, "Bro just wanted some attention."
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, just so I thought it was funny that his own teammates were just like, "Bro, what are you doing? Like, come on, man. Like, cut the crap."
It is funny just to watch them give each other shit because you saw something similar with Oscar Delp when he posted something in the off season. He had like his hands on his knees during a workout, like stand up stuff like that, and he goes, "Oh, resting position." So it is funny to watch players interact and give each other shit on social media.
Yeah, it's good, man. You got to be able to keep him in check. That's why. Not to do it again. The first thing I thought about with the Rayola poem was like, oh my God, his teammates are going to kill him.
Dude.
Like, social media is one thing, but your grown ass teammates in that locker room are going to cook you, sir. So yeah, watch out, kids. It's great to build an influence. All right, it's great to build a platform. Just don't be meat clapping on the timeline.